10 minutes ago, somebody walked out the door here where I make videos periodically and threw a chair. And it's the first time that I've witnessed that type of an act, although these things are happening all around. I would say that I'm somewhat, we have a couple of birds here, 2 of them. Well, that's unique. I've been definitely tapping into nature more, going to the park more, going to the gym more, and I have other videos about that. Not filming myself working out yet, but discussing the art of working out and cross-training, right? And the connection to positive mental health without drugs or substances. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't drink alcohol. I haven't consumed standard THC for over 9 days. I didn't drink coffee for 4 days, but when I did drink coffee today, it was the LAIRD brand, which mixes a couple of supplements inside the coffee. So it's not just normal StarBucks coffee, but coffee that's actually good for you. I've actually heard some concerning things about StarBucks coffee. So the main reason this video is happening is because I witnessed someone throw a chair. And just knowing that we're dealing with increased solar activity, like, duh. I'd like to be able to diffuse certain negative situations and be of advice, but in reality, I'm not really in position to be able to do that. But I do try. Like earlier, I recorded a longer video that was basically done at the park. And so in that sense, my audience is actually larger than the online audience. The park audience is actually larger than the online audience. And so I talk about prepping, spirituality, the reality of political compromise, the reality of our environment without true representation in the media. And so talking about things like that and then getting kind of a energetic, like, what does that sound? An energetic, but it's good for me to be doing these videos out and about. I get an energetic readout on the consciousness telepathically. Sometimes people stop and they listen, and then oftentimes people keep going. And then I've done megaphoning, right? It's not all like finger pointing megaphoning. It's megaphoning about futuristic events that need to be prepared and find the right people in your community. So I've gone to very wealthy areas and have megaphoned about these things, sun, China, Russia, hacking, prepping, spirituality, bringing in the teachings of Christ. There's no megaphoning regarding the unfortunate, things of that nature. But collective prayer, yes. The idea that there is such a thing as God's wrath and we should take heed. But there are weather weapons. There are manipulations. Not all things are of God. Okay. So the problem, I guess, that I see in 2024 is the problem that I've seen just in general, that it's a dumbed down society. And I think that in 2024, with the amount of facts that are out there, me aside, and my feelings aside and my thoughts aside, and what you perceive to be my agenda aside, there's plenty of science out there about geomagnetic storms and disrupted cognitive function. Suspicious Observers, who has different views than me on a number of things, has at least covered that on a level. But there's also the idea that one can be gifted. And then I've also discussed solar flare books and promoted them and authors that have more right-leaning perspectives. But the main thing is this. I feel like I'm trying to guide people through difficult times. I just said to a young man, not too long ago, that the next couple of years, basically, he came out and asked if the chair was thrown at me or what. They weren't even sure. And we'll get to that. But it was about his coffee not being hot, about it being cold. So it was appropriate for him to throw the chair. So for men and women, right? I'm not focusing on multiple genders here, but for men and women, they would benefit from knowing that a certain amount of us, especially when I know about this stuff regarding the sun, and know that I have fallen into less than conscious, I want to say aggressive, but less than conscious reactive behaviors. The earlier video for members was with regards to Vipassana meditation. So I go the extra mile for members, and I talk about meditation and there's going to be a Substack post soon that's going to be promoting, although I haven't watched the videos in 20 years, SN Goenka, right? So we'll just give you the cliff notes now. It's about getting into basically an equanimous state and being also very aware as you scan your body, as you observe your breath as it is, as you scan your body. And so modern day people aware of corruption and injustices that are being overtaken in some cases by emotion should be aware that we are being kind of manipulated, especially through cell phones, and people are more addicted to these cell phones than ever. So I advocate getting away from the cell phones, getting closer to, say, meditation, certain types of crystals that you may be drawn to that may be right for you, knowing how to use them, knowing how to charge them. These concepts are more, I perceive, are pretty much alien to the most part to these people, but there will be the occasional rock store or metaphysical store here and there. Okay, we have a little bit of music to go along with our talk. So we will just, and I'm experiencing lots of this, going in places, speaking, and then watching people run. And I'm not here to point fingers or judge them for running. I have turned the other way too. When I've seen aggressive people hooping and hollering and jumping up and down at the park, I've gone the other way 1 year ago when I saw some young teens, right, of a certain demographic acting a little bit too hippity hoppity. I'm going to go left and avoid the 5 down that row, having past experiences. So it's okay. But when you experience it over and over and over again, during a period in which you're doing deeper meditation and you're trying to challenge your own demons to get the F out and get back to the abyss where they belong. Because we all struggle with this stuff. It's in the air. It's particles. Microscopic energy accumulates in the body. So through cleansing, fasting, and spiritual practices and clean out the mind, we can overtake the inner side of ourselves. That's the lower self or the less than conscious. Call it what you will. I've had a number of God shots. I've had opportunities to talk to cops recently, about the future, and they heard me out for a few minutes and were not rude, and that was that. Here's the YouTube channel. Here is what I think would be a good thing to do, and we haven't yet gotten into it. Basically, the main thing is we have to have a backup emergency communication amongst locals, CB radios, low power FM, to talk about what's happening. That's the crux of it. Now, if you want to help me on that, I'm telling you, I'm trying to think tank like a ninja and then create a blueprint and then tell other men and create YouTube channels. This is how you do it. Other people already did it. So I'm not doing anything new, but it would be new for me to do, and then I get inspired by that movie, pump up the volume. And then he's driving around with the mobile unit. Think about that. Mobile unit, low power FM device, solar panels, mobile unit, constantly traveling around. Now, if any of you know how to do that, let me know. Okay, we're 8 minutes into this. I've got plenty of fresh prepper tips for you and product recommendations for you that I'm not making money off of, but it's things that I'm looking at right now. Okay. And then the other thing that was discussed a few days ago. So when you do have an increase in geomagnetic storms, and if people aren't aware of it, but even if they are aware of it, they may not know that it's happening right there and then. So they could be influenced by the geomagnetic storms to be having domestically at home an argument between the man and the wife or amongst the roommates themselves. And so if someone is conscious and they realize that they're becoming agitated and they already have the information to the causal factors, then they may then decide to make the appropriate decision to go somewhere and ground, to travel. There's a lovemaking scene that I'll direct your attention to from the Jewel of the Nile movie in 1985. Now, they're in Africa in that film. They're not in Portland. They're not in New York. And the point of that is we become such an evil society overall, especially with regards to relationships, that you don't even see love anymore. It's just smut, and that's considered normal. That's considered acceptable garbage. The love vibration is gone from society, and the people don't want it back. They're almost on the anti-human side. So when you watch Jewel of the Nile from 1985, you actually see something very rare: lovemaking, non-pornographic activity. Something basically that media doesn't promote now. The Terminator scene from 1984 gets close, but still is a little rapey. The point is under this mass media international mind control with the love frequency removed, this is why you're ending up enslaved for the next 10, 20, 30 years. It's the vibration itself. So people need to become aware of the solar flares, the solar cycles, how they're influenced by them, and how it is easy to predict periods of unrest. And still, unfortunately, even though these things are admitted by the mainstream, it's still heavily stigmatized in 2024 to the average layman. You talk like this to the average person and try to give them a free book. I'm not talking about a date, just trying to like connect with someone over a book. It's not a matter of everybody agreeing, but how can they agree or disagree if they don't even read the book or put the book in the library? Am I wrong for wanting the book that I recently produced to be in the library in your town? Is that a bad thought? I don't think it is. I think that I removed a lot of my own personal, what some people may call victim stance and other commentaries on other things from that recent book so it could help the most people. It never went top heavy with anything, including racism, but it poked the system bare slightly. Okay, is what it did. Why are we so afraid of the end? Why are we so afraid of losing this? If society is choosing to ride with the devil, as the song says by Van Halen, not a bad song, listened to the other day, but I don't actually want to bring that into my psyche, then why should we be surprised when society goes in a certain direction? So let's wrap things up. Unfortunately, we are also dealing with people being victimized in the news, and this is traumatizing for you and me to see it, and to worry about our loved ones that for whatever reason, without blaming, but for whatever reason are not with us, loved ones. That means many things. It could mean former lovers, former teachers, former mentors. It could mean parents. And I obviously fear more for my mom than my dad because my dad is a social network around him of people that I think, frankly, give him too much love. I don't perceive my dad as being deserving of the family louche, ancillary louche, that his followers direct to him. I've been trying to awaken people to his nature from within his own clan. And I've seen the hive mind in action from various demographics in action. People that identify with the construct of an identity of a group, in some cases, are easy to hijack and take over. Sometimes it's almost required for you somehow, some way, however you identify that, to be outside the box of the norm of a human, of a normal type of human, however you see that. I feel like I'm that. To break through the programming of both sides of the fan. Does this make sense? Because I'm just trying to speak today in a friendly way, not any way that should be misconstrued as promoting any sinful activity or being mean to you. You have the freedom to do and say whatever you want. But spiritually, at the end of this lifetime, there are consequences. I do believe that. Oh, yeah. And so, we need to conclude this. Discussion about the solar influence is a discussion about the force or the God force or the prana. And I would say that people that are going to go be led into war and flip over tables, micro to the macro, are out of balance and should channel that energy in a better way. And if I was able to reach these men, and if they were able to hear me out, then maybe I can prevent some women from being harmed and getting their ass kicked. Now, that's going to be a bold statement. I'm not claiming to be this, that, and the other, and I was extra animated energetically during the eclipse. I acknowledge that. But I physically didn't go out and hurt anybody. I just spoke big and bold. But right now I'm in kind of I'm trying to be in a Vipassana state of mind without my coffee and THC. I'm in a different, like, magnetism. I'm spending a lot of time out under the sun. Hopefully I'm not harming myself, but I spend 3 to 4 hours some days under the sun. And then I go inside, retreat, get that break. I never read a book that said to do this. I'm just following my own intuition. You get out, you get that vitamin D, but especially when you have a geomagnetic storm, when the sun is active. You go out, you get that solar loosh, and then you use that loosh for self-healing and deprogramming. Whereas other people that aren't dealing with that excess loosh and grounding, they may become out of balance, extraordinarily horny, and aggressive. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of aggressive testosterone, right, and a sex drive, but it's a matter of not losing your control. And that's what's happening now. A certain segment of our population is losing control. And we're not just talking about one gender, one race, or one region of the earth. We're talking about like a larger percentage of the human population. So that's my video on witnessing somebody tossing a chair and then me just going up to him and going, "You mad, bro?" It wasn't me that he was angry at when he came out this door and tossed the chair. He was angry at the people claiming that their coffee was no good, right? So these are the days that we are living in. These are the sign of the times. Thank you for watching.